What if the narcissist wasn't just someone out there, but a voice within you? And what if that voice wasn't yours to begin with? The narcissist projects outwards. The empath internalizes inward. Both feel core shame, but how they deal with it is very different, because the narcissist cannot deal with shame. The narcissist denies shame and projects it outwards, externally, whereas the empath absorbs shame and internalizes it. Both narcissist and empath in early childhood had to wear masks. They both came from a narcissistic household where one or both of their parents were narcissists. And perhaps some of the siblings were also narcissists. The empath had to wear the mask for survival. The empath had to wear the mask to perform, to mirror and reflect what the narcissist wanted to see. They had to wear the mask to perform. If the narcissist said jump, the empath asked how high, and more often than not, anticipated how high the narcissist wanted them to jump. So the empath's mask was for performance, obedience, and survival. The narcissist also had to wear the mask. The mask for performance, obedience, survival. Both had to wear the mask. Both had to perform. Both had to mirror. Both had to be whatever they perceived their parent needing them to be, to become. So now, as adults, the narcissist externalizes the cycle, whereas the empath internalizes the cycle. The cycle, you may ask, what is that? The cycle is idealization, devaluation, discard, and hoover. So, the narcissist does this externally to others. They idealize through mirroring and love bombing, flattering, gifts, and pretending to align with the other person's values, beliefs, goals. And it's all a mask. None of it is real. They idealize, and perhaps they believe that they found the love of their lives, and this time it will work. It will be perfect. All the others, they just weren't right. But this time, this one is perfect. This time it will work. The devaluation comes when the narcissist sees that the person that they believed were perfect is not. because everyone has their flaws. But what they did, the narcissist, was project their idea of perfectionism onto the other person. And when that person didn't live up to their expectations, they then began to devalue them. Devaluation comes by means of hot and cold behaviour, silent treatment, ghosting, projection of shame and guilt, and criticism from their inner critic projected outwards towards you. The discard is, I'm done with you. That's what the narcissist thinks. I'm done with you. You're not what I expected you would be. You lied to me. You pretended to be something that you're not. And you're flawed. That is what the narcissist believes. That you lied to them. You sold them a dud bill. That is what they believe, not realising that they projected their own idealisation of you, their image of what you should be. And that was not grounded in reality. So there's nothing inherently wrong with the person that they discard. What's wrong is with the idealization that they initially projected onto the person, okay? But when they leave and discard, they believe they're going on to something better, okay? Then they hoover. They might hoover. And the hoover is, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was too hasty. Maybe I was too hard on you. Perhaps you're not as bad as I thought you were. Maybe if you make a few changes, then we could make it work. If you just correct this and that and do as I say and listen to me and follow everything I tell you to do, then perhaps we can make this work. So that's the external cycle of the narcissist. Idealization. You're perfect. You're amazing. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. I'm so in love. We're going to start a new life. I found the one. The devaluation. You're not who I thought you were. You're flawed. You lied to me. You are not what I thought you were. The discard. You are trash. I'm done with you. I can do better. I can find better. You are not the person that I want to be with. I don't ever want to see you again. We're done. The hoover is, maybe I was a bit too hasty. Maybe I made a mistake. Can I come back? And let's see if we can work it out. So, The internal narcissistic abuse cycle of the empath mirrors the external cycle of the narcissist, except it's internal. First, it's the idealization. It's either an idealization of themselves, as in, I'll be perfect now, and this time I'll get it right. Or it's an idealization of another. They're amazing. They're perfect. They're the one for me. I found the love of my life. And this time, we can make it work. I can help them, and I can become whole. I see their flaws, and I see that they're wounded. I see their inner child that's wounded, damaged. But if I heal them, then I'll heal myself. And if I heal them and heal myself, then we'll be perfect together. And even though they may be half a person, together we can make something whole. The devaluation is all internal. It's, I'm still not enough. And I'm flawed. So, this could be about a project. It could be about a goal. Or it could be about a relationship that you're in the devaluation stage or it just isn't working out. Rather than look at things from a grounded, logical perspective, the empath internalizes the faults, the doubts, the imperfections, and says, I'm not enough. I'm still not enough. Every time I'm just not enough. I'm the one that's flawed. When will I ever be enough? Maybe there's something just wrong with me. Seriously, deeply flawed with me. I'm just not good enough. When will I ever be good enough? Maybe I'm permanently damaged. The discard, again, internal. The voice within the empath. Here we go again. You will never make it. You always fail. They always leave, or you always have to end up leaving them. You need to be by yourself because you're permanently damaged. I'm permanently damaged. That's what the empath says to themselves. I'm damaged. I need to isolate and be by myself. I'm no good to no one, anyone. I can't make the right choices for myself. Each time I think I've made the right decision, each time I think I've found the one, they end up being the same person in a different body. I'm incapable of making choices, good choices, that benefit me. I am unable, incapable. I can't even trust myself. I'm unlovable. If they leave, I'm unlovable. Yes, they may have cheated on me. Yes, they may have beat me. Yes, they may have verbally abused me. But there's something wrong with me. every person that I meet and have a relationship with isn't, let's say, necessarily the one at fault. Perhaps if this is a recurring pattern, it's me. I'm the flawed one. Okay? That's what the empath thinks about themselves. And if it's something that they've put to themselves, such as a goal, say perhaps fitness goals, if they fall off the wagon, rather than think, maybe I know I made these mistakes. These were the mistakes that I made. I'm only human. I'm doing the best that I can. And I can learn from these mistakes and get back on track. No. They internalize and hate themselves. Well, not necessarily hate themselves, but they become their own emotional punching bags. The Hoover, that comes at a later date. They may get a boost of motivation, or they may fall in love again. Maybe that's after many years of isolation, after discarding themselves. They decide, maybe if I try harder, I can be lovable again. I can be my best self again. Maybe I'll be lovable to this new person in my life. Or maybe I'll finally reach that weight goal that I've been trying to reach for years. Okay? So, that cycle is internal, but it goes round and round inside the empath, because the empath internalizes their shame. And so their cycle of idealization, devalue, discard, and hoover is internal to themselves. And for the narcissist, it's external to others. Idealization, devalue, discard, and hoover is projected outwards to another and done to another. But both cycles are based on the inner critic. The inner critic that is grounded in core shame, okay? But one externalizes and projects their shame outwards, and the other internalizes their shame, absorbs it, and the cycle is internal. So, the internal cycle leads to CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and self-doubt. The empath's inner critic becomes brutal at discard, devalue, and discard stages, which more often than not are the most prominent stages of the cycle, the longest stages of the cycle. Okay? The empath asks themselves repeatedly if they're the narcissist. Am I the narcissist? If I can't ever make it work, if I am idealized and then I am found to be not good enough by that person, and then they devalue and discard me, maybe I'm the narcissist. I'm the deeply flawed one. I'm the unlovable one that can't be healed. I am so wounded that no one wants me. So, because the empath internalizes the cycle and the inner critic compounds this internal abuse cycle, the empath remains in an internal fog. The same sort of fog, fear, obligation, and guilt that the narcissist would put the empath in, the empath puts themselves in an internal fog of fear. No one is ever going to want me. What if I end up being alone for the rest of my life? Okay. Obligation that even if they're with a toxic person, they need to stick with it. They need to remain in the relationship. They need to remain faithful and loyal, because if they quit, then they just proved that they can't maintain the distance, that they're not loyal, and also they're going to hurt the other person. Even if that's the right decision to make to protect themselves, they will not want to do it, because the obligation, the same obligation they had as a child to their narcissistic parent, is the same obligation that they will have to this person that they're with, which more than likely will be a narcissist. The guilt when things don't work out or they have to leave. Here we go again. I'm having to leave. I've had to hurt that person. I couldn't make it work. Even if they left me, I couldn't make it work. I should have done better. I should have known better. Maybe if I had behaved this way or that way, I would have made this relationship work. But no, again, here I am in the same place I was with the other person. Back there again. There must be something wrong with me. This pattern continues. I couldn't make it work with that person or the person before, so it must be me. And if I had to leave, then I've left to protect myself, but I've been selfish. That person is hurting, and I'm the cause of their pain and suffering. And that makes me a bad person, a very, very bad person. So, that is the guilt. And if they have this guilt and it's not for a person or a relationship, and perhaps it's for a goal such as a diet, they feel the guilt that they didn't meet their obligations of the goals that they set for themselves. And these goals may be so strict and stringent. They've raised the bar so high. They've set such high and stringent expectations of themselves. And then when they fail to meet those expectations, those godlike expectations, then they feel the guilt. The guilt that, here we go again. Look what I've done to myself. I couldn't even make this work. I couldn't even achieve this goal. I'm a failure. I'm just not good enough. I should have been able to do this. I should have been able to succeed. I should have been able to stay the course. What the hell is wrong with me? That there is what the empath thinks. And then there's the shame, the core shame that stems from the empath feeling that they failed again. And here we go, another cycle of misery. The cycle of misery and abuse. So, the discard for the empath is self-abandonment. And this abandonment activates their core shame wounds internally. Whereas for the narcissist, their abandonment is done externally to others via discard, and their shame wounds are projected onto the other. So, for an empath, abandonment by a narcissist reactivates their shame wound and inner critic attacks. As we've discussed, the narcissist externalizes the pain, manipulates others via love bombing, idealization, gaslighting, and denies shame by projecting it onto others. They cannot bear to feel their core shame. So they externalize it and project it externally onto the empath. The empath internalizes the pain, abuses their self, and carries their ancestral burdens. Empaths aren't narcissists. They're survivors, still fighting a war that they didn't start. The war was started by their early caregivers, their narcissistic parents, their narcissistic siblings. They didn't start this, but they do owe it to themselves to finish it. Healing and exit from the inner cycle of abuse starts with naming the loop, becoming aware of the cycle. Identifying when you're in the cycle allows you to begin the healing. Daily affirmations, grounding, self-parenting the inner child, and inner dialogue rewiring. This will help the empath transmute the pain, the toxic energy, and the inner critic, which is the voice of the narcissist, the early caregiver narcissist, the narcissist parent, or their narcissist partner. So, I'm going to end this with a mantra that you can say to yourself. I return my shame. I reject the voice that was never mine. I remember who I am. You are not the narcissist. You are the one healing from one. Remember that. Never forget, empath, that you are not the narcissist. You are the one that is healing from one. Okay? If you liked this video, please like, share, comment and subscribe. And remember that you are never alone in this journey. There are others that have come before you and there are others that come after you. You didn't start this narcissistic abuse cycle. That was implanted inside you from your early narcissistic caregivers and every narcissistic partner that you had thereafter. So don't blame yourself for being entangled in this narcissistic cycle. You are not the narcissist, but you do have an internal narcissist inside of you running the program. That is the inner critic, but it is not you. Dissociate yourself from that inner critic. Recognize that voice, that core shame that drives that voice. Love yourself, heal yourself, and you can silence that inner narcissist. Remember, you are the prize. You are special. You are loved. You were always good enough. You are enough, okay? And relationships that did not work before were not all your fault. Release the burden. If they were bad people and you had to leave them, then do not internalize the blame. Yes, you played your part in that cycle, but so did they. Look at the choices that you made and look at their patterns of behavior. Look at your patterns of behavior and how you can change those patterns of behavior. Recognize the patterns of behavior from a grounded perspective, grounded and logical perspective, and not from an emotional perspective. Emotions are temporary visitors. They come and they go. Your inner critic is a temporary, annoying visitor. It doesn't have to be permanent unless you allow it to be. Okay? So, like, share, comment, subscribe, and remember, we go from surviving to thriving. My friends, see you soon.